Episode 22, and it's called Persecution. John 15, as of verse 18 says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as it loves its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world. You're not part of this world. But I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Remember the words I spoke to you, no servant is greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you also." When you look at the numbers of persecution, you have this organization, Open Doors, that gives a survey every year about the situation of the persecution in the world, the persecution of Christians. I think the latest report I saw was about the situation in 2018. About 245 million Christians are threatened and persecuted in one way or another somewhere in the world. You have a whole list of countries where these persecutions take place. It's in Muslim countries, it's in China, it's in North Korea, it's in Africa, various places. And more also you see it happen in the worlds of Christianity. That true Christians are more and more ridiculed and they are pushed out of public life. These religious people, these Jesus people, and so this will be increasing in the end times, persecution. There was a time in Christianity that Christian teachers were saying, well, you know, it will happen like this. Jesus came to earth, he took upon himself the sins of the world. Then he sends his disciples into the world, and the gospel of the kingdom is preached to all nations, so more and more the whole world will ultimately be Christianized. And then when that process is over, then he will come back in glory in a made-up bed, so to say, to bring in the final touch of the kingdom. So the Christianizing of the world, like a mustard seed, it is small, but it will grow and the whole world will be part of it. That is not what the Bible teaches. The Bible says, and Jesus says himself, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, will he still find faith on earth? Religion galore, all kind of religions, Christian religion, Hindu religion, and so forth. But will he find true saving faith on earth? So instead of that, the Bible says, no, in the end, the world will be more and more okay, and more the Christian values and the Christian churches will spread and make the world Christian. No. In the end, there will be a great fallout. And in Holland, I think in the next 10 years or so, I think 1,000 churches buildings are up for sale because there are no church people anymore. The older churches become like museums. Yes, there are some free churches, kind of pockets of light still in the darkness, but darkness is setting in. The world is becoming more and more a dark place. They have persecuted me, Jesus says, they will persecute you. Because a slave is not above his master. Apostle Paul says we have to enter into the kingdom by many trials and tribulations and persecutions, which is contrary, for instance, to that preaching of a kind of prosperity gospel. You come to Christ and you get better and better, you'll be blessed, give your donations to the church and God will multiply it. You will be blessed. Of course, when you come to Christ, God will bless you. He will provide what you need for your body, that you have a roof over your head and clothes to wear and things to eat, but that must be sufficient, Paul says. I think when the apostles would hear such a prosperity gospel, they would have thought, did we miss something? Paul says, nights without sleep, days without food. They throw stones at me many times. I've been in prison, I've been persecuted, and I have to be prosperous. What did I miss? Not one of the 12 apostles ended their life dying old and satisfied. No, they all died the death of a martyr. Maybe John, who was exiled to Patmos, got a high age, but he was not free. He was in prison and so forth. So persecution should not come as something strange to you as a believer. It's almost the opposite. To be in peace and to have some richness even among yourselves, that's contrary. That's not normal, that's abnormal. Because the powers of darkness hate the light. Whatever you do, even if you keep your mouth shut about your testimony, you have a radiation of Jesus in your life and people sense it. He or she is different. And they get a little bit irritated, and then they get a little bit angry, and then they start to ridicule you. And then when the political climate grows, they block you from important jobs or from, you saw it in the Nazi time, you saw it in the communist time. When you kept to Jesus, you were not welcome the better jobs were not for you. Try to enroll yourself in university. You will not manage to do so because you have the wrong political attitude. And so persecution is something that is normal. And that's why there are all these martyrs. But that's why it is so wonderful to understand the signs of the times. That yes, we are heading towards a very short, dark period. Sometimes people call it the Great Tribulation. A few years of intensive darkness upon planet Earth. So bad that the world has never seen it before, and after that will never see it again. When the book of Revelation, there you find a great multitude that have come. Where do they come from? They're apparently martyrs, a multitude that no one can count. And John asks, who are these people? And the answer is, they come from the Great Tribulation. But now they're safe on the other side, and God will wipe off their tears. And in the day of the resurrection, they will have incredible crowns that you can't believe. They will be queen on the side of the king. And so the martyrs, unto the souls of the martyrs in heaven said, Lord, how long before you come and revenge our innocent blood to those who murdered and killed us? And he says, just a short while, and then I will come. So persecution is part of the end times. But on the other hand, stick to Jesus. I'm from the Netherlands, from Holland. We were under Nazi occupation, but we had an underground movement, a resistance movement. And they tried to do whatever they could. They never gave in to the Nazi ideology. They did not follow the politics of those days. They tried to resist it as good as they could. I think living in the end times, and you're a Christian, means you're kind of part of the spiritual resistance movement of the end times. Don't give in when this new ideology sets in. Stick to Jesus, and He can save you from the hour that will come upon planet Earth. There might be martyrs, but He will keep you until you reach your final goal and be among the overcomers who live forever and ever in great glory that you can hardly start to imagine. So be part of the resistance movement until He comes in glory.